Uber and Lyft are fighting minimum wage laws. But in this state, the drivers won. In a windowless room, Uber driver Farhan Badel took the podium in front of a committee of Minnesota state legislators in early May. As Badel leaned into the microphone and started speaking, the room quieted. Testifying before lawmakers was something he'd done nearly a dozen times before, but he says this time felt like his last chance. "We've been fighting for 2 long years," Badel stated, referencing ride-hail drivers' battle to get a minimum wage law passed in the state. He said his message to lawmakers was this: Uber and Lyft, especially Uber, notorious for their shady lobbying, should not be allowed to dictate what becomes law in this state. The lobbying Badel referenced is part of a playbook Uber and Lyft have used in cities across the country to curb minimum wage laws for drivers. The San Francisco-based companies have barraged lawmakers with emails, sent warning messages to riders and drivers, and threatened to vacate states if they were forced to pay minimum wage. In Minnesota, the campaign was particularly aggressive. Interviews with drivers and lawmakers, along with internal emails and documents obtained by NPR, show that Minnesota was the target of an intense operation. That hearing where Badel testified was the latest twist in a whiplash series of events. Over the last 2 years, ride-hail drivers had organized and grown into a more than 1,300-member group that marched at City Hall, met with lawmakers, and brought national attention to their plight. They had seen wins and losses in dizzying succession: 3 separate bills mandating minimum wage for ride-hail drivers passed at the state and city levels, only to get unexpectedly vetoed by Governor Tim Walz or Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. The drivers say it felt to them like a true David and Goliath situation, pitting them against multi-billion-dollar corporations that seemed to hold far more power. This spring it reached a boiling point. After gains by the drivers, Uber and Lyft stepped up their lobbying campaign and threatened to pull out of Minneapolis. This is part of their corporate playbook, says Laura Payden, who studies lobbying in the gig economy at the National Employment Law Project, a labor rights advocacy organization. The fact that they can issue threats and say, "We're going to leave if you treat us like everyone else," is a big problem.